That's cool.
Whenever I make a video asking my viewers to support or buy some game, I do not actually think that I will be able to make anyhow meaningful change, because my channel is that small. However, when the game has as much as 41 reviews on Steam, and its Discord server has but 11 people, and that's including me and the developer, I think that perhaps I actually can make a meaningful change. Because if just one among those who are watching this video now will buy this game, this will be a whole lot 1 new % to the game's population. And this game definitely deserves a bigger population. The title of the video is not exaggerated by any means. Far Away From Home really is the first game since Bioshock, which I played more than 10 years ago by now, the plot of which made me think a lot about connections between the player and the character and how we interact with each other, and just how much meaning can be put into linear narrative with fictional characters, which, when it comes to video games, I have always valued way more than online interactions with unknown human beings. That said, let us actually start with the topic that is the main theme of my channel, that is modifying this game. Far Away From Home is a perfect game for beginners who never modded a game before, because its save game can be opened with a notepad, so you can read the code and understand how it works with minimal effort. All you need is a desire to modify the game. Let me now show you some entry points so you won't be thrown completely into the wild, and after learning those entry points, I think you can go from there for deeper modifications in Far Away From Home, or actually try your own wit against several other games which I also present to you after the Far Away From Home section. Alright, so let's start with ultra basics here. We have a berserker here named Eddie, and let's assume we want to recruit him during the first playthrough when he is normally unrecruitable. So what we got to do is to save the game, and now open our save game in Notepad++. And we gotta search for his name. Make note these triple slashes are not the entry we need. We actually need the single slash entry. And all we need to do now is replace his unit object, here, like this line, from Wolf Berserker Boss to something recruitable like Sniper, for example. And we need to turn down his HP a bit, and let's just search for HP. This is likely his. Let's move it down to 4 for this example and press Ctrl S. This should do the trick. Now all we need is to load our save game. And yes, as you can see, Eddie turned into Sniper, which we can now recruit like this. Alright, and now all we need to do is wait for our next turn. I made sure that our next turn will be nearby, just for the purposes of the test, of the showcase. And we save the game again. Oops, pardon me. This is my little trick, I use black screenshot as a background. And open our new save game. And now we need to turn Eddie back to his berserker state, so to say. So what we need to do is find all Eddie names and make sure that his object says Object Wolf Berserker Boss. Oh, I'm actually looking through triple slash entries, pardon me. Here's a single slash entry, the correct one. He now has recruit ID, his object is Wolf Sniper, and he now should have a second object, which should go like unit object name, this line. And it says object wolf sniper. It also has to be replaced to object wolf berserker boss. And now we can check out his HP as well and turn it from 97 to how much was that? 1504. Also, along the line, we can rename Eddie. Let's say his new name would be Woof. It's alright, because as far as the game goes, we cannot actually speak with wolves and know their names. One of the characters just make up their names as we process on the fly, as we process as we go through the game. So yeah, we can as well make up our own names. And so, as you can see, now we have this pretty guy. He just refused to be selected. I'll use my keyboard. Here he is, Wolf the Berserker, and he is on our side now. Our new wolf friend. Alright, I've tried to turn Eddie into a boss wolf named Fenrir, and I think I did everything correctly. I even recorded the whole fucking tutorial on how to do it, but I don't know why, but in the end of the day, the game showed me an error when I finished the stage, even though Fenrir worked perfectly throughout the whole fight. But after I finished, for whatever reason, the game shows... After I finished the stage, for whatever reason, the game shows me a crash. I'll record it right now, and the game will definitely crash. And I really do not see the reason behind it. I cannot say why. Maybe I'm a bit blind because I'm ill right now and have a temperature and the head is kind of heavy, but I'm like dead sure I've did everything correctly. And here comes the crash. Yes. Incorrect type, expecting a number. Level up friend. I'm not sure what I've done wrong once again. But then, once again, I spent an hour or something along those time. Somewhat along those time, trying to find the mistake. And as I said, maybe it's because I'm ill, maybe because I'm just, I don't know, blind for the moment, but I couldn't find the mistake. And well, do I need? Because in the end of the day, I decided that it will be much easier to enable the stage repeat mode, the stage select mode in the options difficulty of the game, and then I simply replayed the stage where Fenrir was the enemy. It's the stage named Tooth and Claw, and then I recruited him using my tricks, and that worked fine. Here he is, Fenrir. The only thing I did was deleting the line which said HP override to bring him down from 5000 and something HP to the more modest 1800. I will not show you like how it's done, because it's pretty much the same thing that we've just did with Eddie the Berserker, only done with a boss on a boss stage, and I kinda want to avoid spoilers as much as possible in this video, because I really assume that you will play this game on your own. So yeah, it's pretty much the same method, only done with a boss on a boss level, and it works just fine. It does cause but one another bug, a bug of another kind. Level doesn't crash, everything works normally, but any cutscene that uses object ID of unique wolves, in case such an object ID is identical to the one you have to your party, pretty much refuses to work correctly, and I do not think it is possible to fix that anyhow. I will show you methods to circumvent it a bit lately, but for now let's recruit several more unique wolves, namely Het and Al, the wolves who are already friendly when we meet them and not our enemies. Therefore, recruiting them will require several more edits than recruiting boss wolves. Het and Al are also unique, and so having them in your party will cause the same type of glitch with the cutscene, and so after we will recruit Het and Al, I will explain to you how to circumvent the cutscene glitch. Alright, now let's try and make friendly wolves Het and Al permanent members of our party. Once again, I already saved the game and opened the save game here. And here's Het. And my idea here, Het and Al can be recruitable if they wouldn't be... Wait a moment. Oh, alright. That didn't recruit him. Yeah, so the idea here is that Het and Al will be recruitable simply if they will be enemies and not our allies. So the idea here is to find Het and then to find his subtype like this and change it from friendly to wolf, and then also drop his HP a little bit. I'm not sure it's him, by the way. Let's redo this and HP. Yeah, and let's bring it down to 17 or something. And then do the same thing with Al. Only complete words. Here he is. So, subtype friendly wolf. And somewhere here, Al. HP. Now it's very weird that Al has less HP than Het, but alright. Alright. So Ctrl S, let's try and load it. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, alright. And supplies, doggy gift package. Oh, he actually got the skull, unrecruitable, alright. Well, let's fix that. Where's Het? Well, let's change his type as we usually do. Unit object, object gray. And we will replace it with this, for example, object wolf battlemaster. I assume Al would be object white. Oops. Al, I'm not sure. Object bino. Albino. Alright. Almost white. So let's reload it now. And Mind Reaper. Alright, now they are just Battle Masters, and we put doggy gift packages for them. Still doesn't work, for whatever reason, even though they are enemies now. Where else can the catch be? Alright, pardon me, it seems like there's no catch here, I just didn't notice that he has full HP for whatever reason. Al is correct though, didn't I... did I miss or something? I did 2 HP edits, no? Oh well, alright, doesn't matter much I suppose, let's just search for HP again. 1044. Right. I cannot just let it go. Didn't I check both? Object bino, object gray. What am I editing here? HP. It's Al's HP, and now friendly wolf. Yeah, I've edited somebody's HP down to 17 somehow. What HP was that? Skills, traits. Berserker, yeah, I missed. I edited Oscar's HP. Alright, just let's make it fair and return his HP back to 1768. So, HP 1768, like this. Alright, everything should be just fine now. All mistakes has been fixed. All the errors. And doggy gift package. There you go. Plus one good boy to the party. Alright. So we recruited Het. And now let's recruit Al. Skill. Blink step. And supplies, doggy gift. Like this. Alright. Now we save the game. And now just let me double check everything. HP, HP. What's here? Object, alright. Object. Let's actually do it side by side. So, what we need to do now is bring Het and Al back to their, you know, initial forms. So, let's start with Het. Here he is with recruit ID now. And, so. HP. 1044 for Het. So, HP 1044. La la la, Het. And object Bino, it's for Al. And now we have two objects, just like with the previous experiment. Let's just find wolf here. It's not... Why do I always move to Oscar for whatever reason? Oh, because I didn't uncheck this thing. Right, object Bino, and here he is, object name to object Bino, fixed. And object gray, it's for Het. And wolf battlemaster, find for next object, battlemaster, gray, just double check. Yep, it's for Het, here's his name. Alright, what else? Did we... Yes, Al's HP 882. And we need to check this again. And HP 882, like this. What's here? Subtype friendly. The subtype actually should be friendly by now. I will show this in a moment. 1768. Oscar. Yeah, it's my mistake. So yeah, subtype. Alright, let's get back to subtype. So, as I said, once we recruit wolves, their subtypes actually should change to friendly, so everything should be alright here. Yeah, the subtypes are automatically changed to friendly once we recruit them. That's the whole idea. Alright, it seems like everything's been returned to the norm. So let's now reload the game. One more time. Yeah, looks about correct. And now we gotta finish the mission normally, then I'll come back to you and show you the results, and hopefully nothing will crash. Well, Good news, nothing crashed, and with this simple trick, I have 2 more characters I can play as, L and Head. And so now I guess I have to show you the glitch and how to circumvent it if you want to keep wolves in your party. Because one of the ways to get rid of the glitch is simply to dismiss the wolves and then recruit them again. But there is also a way which is pretty much the same trick that we used to recruit them, and you will probably find it easier. Alright, let's start with why this glitch happens in the first place and how an example of such a glitch looks. So, here we have Garm, and the dialogue which he is currently saying to us doesn't appear, and the camera instead pans to, somewhere. Right now it pans to the door. And this happens because the game actually picks not the instance of Garm that is present in the cutscene, but picks the instance of Garm that is in our party. In this case, when we do not have our Garm in the present level, he simply doesn't spawn, and therefore the dialogue doesn't play at all. I currently have Fenrir in my party. If I instead had Garm, the dialogue would have played above my Garm, and then the game would have grabbed my Garm and attempt to play an animation with him too, which would probably misplace him. But thing is, it's not a big deal if after the broken cutscene you will simply save and load your game. The game will load every character on the place the said character is supposed to be. So even with the broken cutscenes you can actually say try to fight Garm with identical object IDs if you would deem to do so. Anyway, this particular level is the worst offender because on this level the bug is actually game breaking. Thing is, in this level the game refuses to activate the escape area while the boss object is present in the save game, thus rendering the level uncompletable. But to fix it we can use the same trick which we used to recruit boss wolves in the first place. That is, saving the game, opening it in Notepad++, and replacing all instances of object Garm3, which is our boss object, with object Garm. I didn't do an accurate search for object Garm3 like I did when I recruited the wolves, because I know that there is only one boss object present, and that is one in my party. So there's no need for the accurate search. I want all of it removed and replaced with object Garm, which is actually also Garm, but different from the one that game uses in this mission, but we will get to that a bit later. And so now as we reload the level, as you can see the orange escape area appeared, and I can finish the level, and I will do just that right now. So the level is finished, and here's the Garm in my party. As I said, he is just the same Garm as he was, but his current object in the save game is object Garm rather than Garm3, and I want to move him back to being Garm3, so I save my game one more time right into this, I guess, slot, why not, and I open my save game, which would be not this one, but where it is, here it is, this one, second to last. And once again, I'm pretty sure that I only have my Garm, so I can simply click replace from Garm to Garm3, like this. And yes, once again 7 instances were replaced, so I'm dead sure everything correct, and I can simply reload the game, like this. So let's check my party. Visually, nothing have changed, but in the code, things have been changed. That's how it works. And now, I guess I should explain you a bit more about differences between object Garm, object Garm3, and the rest of them. So, thing is, for whatever reason, the game has multiple variants for most of the unique wolves. Fenrir has Object Wrath, Object Wrath 2, Object Tamar, Garm has Garm, Garm 2, Garm 3, and so on. And I replaced Garm 3 with Garm, but I could use any object really, like Object Wolf Battlemaster or Object Wolf Sniper, which I used in the previous examples. Changing wolf object radically becomes necessary with Al, because Al, out of all the wolves, only have one object. And so if you want to have Al in your party, you just have to change him for Sniper or Battlemaster, or in 2 missions he appears. I believe only 2 missions, yeah. Well, maybe a bit more, but still, not much at all. It shouldn't bring any complications, albeit once I had somehow Garm's skills merged with Battlemaster skills. So Garm had like 6 traits instead of 3 or something like that. It is not hard to fix that, but this is one of the things that I will leave to you. If you actually watch this tutorial, the lines which are related to traits and skills should have been very clear to you. They really stand out, and it is not that much of a hassle to open the save game before the battle, before the changes are done, where every skill is set correctly, and then copy those traits and skills to the save game which is made after the battle, in case the skills and traits are merged. Albeit it shouldn't happen at all. I'm not sure why it happened, it only happened once to me. Still, it should be an easy fix, and besides, experimenting with traits and skills and trying to give different characters skills and traits that are not intended for them are another interesting thing that you can do with the save game potentially, and a good thing to experiment with, and a good place to learn something on your own. So yeah, once again, I will not explain that. The fix should be easy, and there are possibilities to do even more, which I will leave up to you. One more thing about all these wolf variants is that all of them will cause glitches in the cutscenes they are used in by the game. So while Garm 2 doesn't cause a glitch in the chapter 20, it will cause glitch in some other chapter, and I want to believe that I used the variants which cause the less glitches, even though I didn't do much tests. Still, I ran the whole playthrough with the variants that I used, so I can tell you precisely where to expect the glitches with my save game, with the variants that I used, and I cannot really tell you where to expect glitches with other variants. And this leaves us with one last thing to say about save game editing of Far Away From Home. I encountered a game-breaking bug. I did a lot of tests, and I can say for sure that it doesn't relate to the boss or other wolves in my party. It only happens in New Game Plus for whatever reason, doesn't happen in original game. I also replayed several previous missions and overall ran a lot of tests, and I can say for sure that this bug only happens when I destroy one of these towers, or when I destroy a holographic wolf which is spawned by one of these towers. And so, as I destroy a tower, the following happens. An error that says, trying to draw non-existing sprite. I cannot ignore it, because the game will just show the same error again. For object corpse. It's very weird. I am not sure what causes it, but I eventually came up with a way to kind of fix this glitch, or at least make it possible to avoid the crash and pass the levels. I pretty much immediately came up with the idea of replacing the object related to the tower with another object, but surprisingly or not, it didn't work, as most objects caused the same crash. However, I managed, after several tests, to pick an object which doesn't result in a crash. These glitchy towers only appear in 2 missions in the whole game. I even replayed several earlier missions just to be sure that this is not some save game wide bug that has corrupted the whole game. No, only towers are affected and they only appear in 2 missions. And so, using this mission as an example, I will show you exactly what I do to avoid this bug in case you have the same one. The only thing of note before we start is that the red towers really do not like their object changed, and once you change the object, if they attack, the game will crash, so you gotta destroy these towers as soon as possible. So, we saved the game, we open the save game. I saved the game precisely before Gabriel's turn because Gabriel can destroy all the towers in one move, and that's what I'm aiming to, so the red towers won't glitch on me. So we search for object 23 and we search for entries with 1/ like this one, and we go for for this line, and we replace all the turrets with this line, and also we look for their health points and we drop those down as well. So that's turret 1, next turret tower, and the last one. Come on, this one. Yes, and HP. And now we press Ctrl S and reload the game. This is where it is, this one. And as you can see, we have supply caches instead of towers. Well, as a matter of fact, they're still towers, they act as towers, but they are counted as supply caches in game now, something along those lines. Anyway, here comes Gabriel's turn and we do blink step, and then sonic boom. 1, 2, 3. All 3 destroyed. And as you can see, nothing glitched out, everything works. And after this, nothing prevents us from completing the mission and move on with the game. This was pretty much the only bug that I have encountered during my 2 playthroughs, not counting the bugs related to wolves, which I've pretty much inflicted on myself with my safe editing. And what can I say? It's not much, just 1 bug, but I'd say I was pretty mad if I was unable to complete the game when I was rather close to the finish. Luckily, I was able to fix it. This is a great example why you should work on your modding skills, on your skills of understanding the innards of the game. You do not have to wait for the developers or for somebody else to circumvent or fix some game-breaking bug. You can do it yourself and save yourself a lot of nerves. So yeah, this is a perfect example why you should learn stuff like save game editing and some basic coding techniques. Just out of curiosity, I grabbed my save game in the first playthrough, and this is how it looks when I kill the tower. Something spawns on top of it. Something weird. Last time I played it was bookshelves, now it's a fountain. But alright, at least it doesn't break. I'm not sure where and how it happens. I can only assure you that this is not my fault, because at this point of the game, if we'll take a look at my party, Gate Crasher, here it is, I already have all the wolves, including Al, Het, Fenrir and Garm. I didn't change any of that, so these guys are not the problem for this glitch. I'm not sure why it happens in the New Game Plus, so I can only tell you that this is one glitch which I just happened to be able to fix, even though I'm not sure why it actually happens. Alright, now as I promised, several more games which store the save games as plain text and therefore which can be edited with nothing but Notepad++. First, Halcyone 6 Starbase Commander, also known as Halcyone 6 Lightspeed Edition. Gameplay-wise, it can be split in two parts. First part is the management of your starbase, which is pretty much XCOM light, which should be read as quite entertaining and not hard at all. And the second part are turn-based battles, which are all about inflicting some kind of status on your enemy and then using your next ship, which can exploit said status for massive damage. Nothing really hard, at least with the options that I played with, and the game features multiple difficulty options, so if you want a challenge you can definitely give yourself one. And at the same time it is quite interesting to comprise a fleet of 3 ships in a way that you can actually feel them acting as a team. So yeah, nice stuff, simple and entertaining. Modding wise, you can mod a lot in Halcyone 6. Personally, I remember that I definitely enjoyed giving myself a pirate ship, and also I gave myself a permanent pirate officer. I remember I wrote manually several of the lines that he uses during the battle. I also remember that I assigned a science officer to the ship that is normally not available to him, because normally you can assign science officer to science ships, and here we have science officer assigned to the tactical ship. I remember that every time I launch the fleet, the officer is checked and unassigned by the game, and I think I was thinking about fixing that, but never really got to it because the game ended. Yes, the game is actually rather small, so it simply ended way before I got to fixing all the nuances of my modifications, and that was the primary reason why I never really uploaded anything, because all of it is rather raw. The possibilities, however, are rather huge, as according to the readme which I wrote to myself, a lot of files of the game itself are actually also simply text. So potentially you can create wildly big modifications for Halcyone 6, however I've never seen that being done and I never messed with those files myself as well. Potential, however, is pretty much unlimited. As far as I remember, from what I saw, I figured out you can rewrite most of the game and add a lot of your own stuff. I also have this folder of interesting saves, which I never really uploaded anywhere. If anyone is interested in this, let me know, I will upload all this stuff somewhere for you to explore. All the files of Halcyone 6 are actually Lua files, so every now and then it becomes pretty much a proper code. Might be a bit hard for a novice, but I think it is a nice opportunity to familiarize yourself with an example of an already written code and to attempt to introduce some changes into it, because as far as I can see, actually modifying other people's code is an easier way to learn the code rather than to write your own programs from ground zero yourself. Both are needed, of course, if you really want to learn the code. However, for starters, this is rather great. And the second game which stores its save games in plain text is named Starcom Nexus, a really pretty space exploration game which I enjoyed a lot. And for a change, battles in this game is real time. It also features a rather big map, so the game, well, it's not AAA big, but it is rather huge. It takes some time to explore the whole galaxy. And it also features a lot of text for you to read, and it is written quite well. I really enjoyed some of these anomalies. For example, the one I still remember is biolooms. It describes an ocean-based alien life form whose language is the light that is emitted by their biological bodies. And their whole life is pretty much about light, to the point that for 200 years they've tried to communicate with the sun of their star system, which is, in my opinion, is just an amazing description of an alien culture. There is also an anomaly about brown dwarf with an unusually high radiation that rendered all the planets in its star system sterile, and man, that's just to name a few. There are much more of them out there. All in all, I think all of this stuff will be of great interest to various space nerds like me. Well, alright, to be honest, I'm not much of a space nerd, I do not know just how scientific all those entries are, but they sure are entertaining. Well, back to the topic of video game modifying, you can actually modify a lot of stuff in Starcom Nexus with nothing but your notepad. For example, I found an unused weapon which is named Araona missiles. The missiles which leave the blue-greenish trail are the ones named Araona missiles, and even though Araona is a race that can be found in game, I'm pretty sure none of their units actually use these missiles. And they're darn pretty, I really enjoyed using them through the beta portion of my game. There's also an unused enemy in the files of the game. You can also spawn that enemy freely, it is quite strong, so you can test your metal against it. Probably one unused anomaly as well, I'm not sure, but I didn't find anything about it online, so I guess it is unused. I also modified my ship to make it look like it's made of a mix of different parts from different races, because I feel it suits the theme of the game rather well, because you are thrown away from your time and from your species. So I think a ship like that looks quite, organic and underlines the situation you are in rather nicely. And that's several, but not all things that you can do with Starcom Nexus using nothing but your notepad. And when it comes to modifying the files of Starcom Nexus, there are two types of files that we need. First is a save game itself, which is structured pretty much in the same way like Far Away From Home, albeit a bit more accurately, meaning there is a correct spacing which allows for a way easier reading of the save game itself. And there are also blueprints, which are JSON files of your ship, which is pretty much the same thing as a save game, only for all things ship related. In the save game you edit the galaxies, the anomalies and the stuff, and in the ship file you rebuild your ship, outfit it with Araona missiles and the likes. And even though I didn't record anything about Starcom Nexus for my YouTube channel, I wrote quite an extensive post about it on Steam, and there's a lot of stuff which you can try for practice. Starcom Nexus also has a second game named Starcom Unknown Space, I believe, I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet, but as far as I heard, it also stores its save games as plain text, so you might as well go ahead and try your hand at hacking the second part of Starcom as well. Alright, now before finishing the video, let me actually tell you a word or two about why I loved Far Away From Home so much. I'll start with the fact that I'm not much of a tactician or strategist, and games like these are not often on my computer. But I had a blast with this game, especially with the first playthrough. I feel like the game was not quite balanced for the second playthrough, and the issues started to be more glaring. For example, let's take a look at the agility of our characters here. Thing is, agility in this game determines the chances of your characters to dodge a hit. And as you can see, the biggest agility so far is 530, and I've put a lot in the agility of that particular character. All the other characters have lower agility than that. And boom! 923 for the Assassin Wolf. This means that the Assassin Wolves will dodge everything you throw onto them. By the end of the second playthrough, there is nothing that can hit an Assassin Wolf. For example, here's my pal Fenrir trying to give a 5-hit boss combo to the Assassin Wolf from behind. Hit is 0%, and just to prove that, 5 dodges in a row. It is next to impossible to knock these light blue wolves out, in my opinion. And I'd accepted the fact that I'm simply doing something wrong, leveling up the wrong stats for my characters. But thing is, Fenrir here, he is not my character, he is a boss. He is a boss who was made by the game, leveled up by the game, and he cannot hit the Assassin Wolf. No other wolf can hit the Assassin Wolf, which actually makes them terribly good recruits, and this is one way to get rid of them. To bend your knee before every Assassin Ninja Master Wolf you meet and offer them your peace treaty in the form of doggy gift package. Keep in mind though that you still have to damage them a bit before they will accept peace. And that leaves us with just one attack in the game that actually can do them damage. It is the ability of one character, and only one character in the game possesses that ability, and that is the only attack in the game which is not a hit, but a grab. Needless to say, it can be a while between the turns of one character. Another issue is that one particular character, namely Gabriel, becomes way more powerful than all the other members of your party. With the right traits, her attacks hit not even twice, but 3 times, and the skill to attack 3 times becomes passive, which is madness. Furthermore, the triple hit applies to all her attacks, including Sonic Boom, and the range of Sonic Boom is insane. But of course, I will just show you. Oh yeah, almost forgot. If you manage to knock somebody out with a Sonic Boom, Gabriel gets a second turn. Needless to say, with triple Sonic Boom, knocking somebody out is almost a guaranteed thing. So pretty much all of Gabriel's turns become 6 hits instead of normal 1, with a crazy good range to top it off. And so, in just one turn, Gabriel took 6 wolves out of a fight, which really is way overpowered. Out of all other characters, the only one that comes close is this hulking brown beast boss named Garm, which has a cone-shaped attack which hits everything in front of him. But man, he is a boss who I had to save edit into my game. None of the normal characters have the damage of those proportions that Gabriel has. And if you watch this video from start to finish, you might have noticed that at one point I flashed the difficulty options menu. And if you wondered, no, these are default 100% enemy health settings. Gabriel is just that powerful. Of course, the only thing that can save itself from Gabriel attacks is the aforementioned Assassin Wolf, who simply dodges everything Gabriel throws at him. Another thing is that there are several missions where you just gotta break supply caches, and while taking out 9,999 health of supply cache during first playthrough was a task and a challenge, during the second playthrough I took out all caches way fast, and I had to do nothing but pet Cluster for several minutes, waiting until the stage will come to an end. Which is not a bad thing, I guess. Everyone loves to pet a dog, and Cluster is a good boy. Still, it is safe to say I didn't notice those issues during my first playthrough. Granted, I didn't know that Gabriel will become that overpowered, so I didn't really level up her triple hit, double turn skills as soon as possible. But given how hard the game became during the last third of my first playthrough, I do not think that Gabriel's abilities would be way out of place. And I definitely didn't have problems hitting Assassin Werewolves. Well, I did, but it never was lower than like 50-40%, which is alright. At least it's not 0, correct? So yes, maybe for those of you who really love all this strategy stuff, things like balance might be an issue, albeit with save game editing and difficulty options being the adjustable menu accessible to everybody at any point of this game, I do not think it is much of an issue. And in my opinion, all this balancing stuff is really nothing, and gets overshadowed by what I can only call a magnificent plot. This game caught my eye when I saw there were supposedly werewolves in it, and you could actually make them part of your party. I am always on the lookout for the games where werewolves are treated more than simple NPCs to kill, and if you are like me, this game definitely will not disappoint. It is also should be noted that this game is very kind. It is stated several times that you do not kill werewolves, you simply knock them out, rough them up a bit, but nothing really mean. I like ultra-violence as much as any other guy. I mean, just several months ago I completed Yon Fury like 3 times and this was awesome. But every now and then we all need these cozy games, and there's a reason why they carved their own niche in the video gaming landscape, so to say. And so this game is one of those. It is very kind, the music is nice and slow and soothing, and overall this game is fuzzy, warm little pack of awesomeness. Now, with this out of the way, I'm gonna give you the ending and therefore a big, huge spoiler. If you don't want that, get right out. And this would be the right decision, because I really think you should experience that on your own. So yeah, close the video and go buy the game, play it, use what you knew to edit the save game, stay cool, good luck. And for the rest of us, 3, 2, 1. Frankly, when I found out that one of our characters is an immortal time looper trapped forever in a Groundhog Day, I was shocked, simply because of how well it was woven into the game itself. In part, it was hard to notice because of our own shortcomings as gamers and game developers. I dismissed a lot of hints simply as rules of the game, game limitations and plot devices. You know, yeah, sure, this character knows how to build ring drives. Well, game gotta justify somehow that you have a crafting tab, right? Sure, this character always knows where to go, but well, why not? Once again, game gotta drive the plot somehow. She already told that she has powerful intuition, and a lot of developers do not bother with explanations more complex than this one, so I just took it all as granted, especially in a small game like this one. I mean, nobody played it but me and a few dozen of other digital archaeologists, so surely the ending cannot hold a big surprise, can it? It's not like I didn't expect any kind of plot twist at all. I mean, at some point it became clear that Cream understands the language of the wolves, and I figured out that something will be revealed about her in the end, but I didn't expect such a turn. And even though along the way we are getting told that most of humanity actually suffered worse than death, Don Hartsfeld's Black Cube level of fate, somehow the game still didn't lose its overall light tone. And so I totally didn't expect such a turn. And as Cream revealed to us that she had this whole thing planned, I actually stood up from my chair and started pacing back and forth, trying to understand just how many implications all of it has. It was really the first game since Bioshock which brought in me thoughts like this. You probably remember the infamous monologue, where Andrew Ryan screams, "A slave, a base, a man chooses," and that plot point really revealed a lot about a character and just how free is he because the player still controls him even after he was supposedly freed from all the programming that was imposed on him, and yet he still kind of remained a slave, or maybe not, and all of that. You know, just several years ago I saw yet another Bioshock thread on a forum discussing that plot. So I guess it is safe to say that Bioshock is still discussed to this day. That is how strong the plot of Bioshock was. And Far Away From Home made me think along the same lines. I'm not sure if that was the developer's intention, but my brain got racing. Because in the ending, the spotlight shines so brightly on this character that I couldn't just help but feel that I always was not a player, but just a part of this character's story. And so I'm really thinking just how much of our free will is really our or free will when we are playing a game. Especially, of course, the role-playing one. Because unless you have imaginative powers equal to those of your keyboard, if you are playing an RPG properly, you are starting to develop your character. You are starting to develop a role. You are starting to imagine how the character thinks, what he does, and what he will do in this situation or that. In a sense, you are not thinking as you yourself, but as that character. Therefore, that character, on some level, even if only in your mind, becomes real. And so, as you interact with that character inside your head, the character, in turn, at least partially, leads your actions. It is, of course, way more obvious in theaters or movies when actors play some outrageous characters and you can swear that there is nothing left of the actor at some moment of the play. You know, those moments where you can feel that the actor has pretty much disappeared and only the character remains. The perfect play. And this happens to a degree to us players too, perhaps even more so in a unique way, because actors, they follow the script. We, as players, do not follow the script, especially in open world games. We are free to make our decisions. Of course, we are confined to some limits of the game itself, but overall, we are free to make our decisions. Or the character is free to make his decisions. Therefore, we do not just play our character according to the script. We are writing the character as we play. And I think I have enough experience as a writer to say that writing a character is very similar to bringing him to life. So as we play, we are pretty much making our characters alive to some degree. And it is exceptional that the game that highlighted all this is absolutely linear, with no choice plot-wise whatsoever. And, just like I said, as I watched the ending, I could not help but feel that I was not a player in Far Away From Home, but just a part of Cream's story, designed to fulfill her plan to fruition, to the only conclusion which she meticulously prepared for years and years and years. I gotta say, it is an incredible ending. The only thing is that I've probably added one line in the end, but I have a flair for the dramatic. I'd add something like, "I'm sorry I've played you all, but now the game is over and you are all free to move on with your lives." Mwah. I'd say that would be perfect, but that's just me. The ending is also kinda heartbreaking because Cream supposedly dies. I even contacted the developer on this, or at least I tried to contact the developer on this, both on Discord and in personal email. Received no reply so far, even though I sent messages about a week ago. I do not hold high hopes. It looks like the developer pretty much abandoned the game since 2022, after he saw that the game didn't get any kind of audience. Which is sad, but overall the game has a lot of open endings and the developer himself admitted as much on the Discord servers, so we are free to make do our own stories out of what we see in Far Away From Home. I can only put your attention to the fact that as the mega gun fires, you can see that a wolf runs back to Cream. And since I hacked the game and used Al in my last mission as my friend of the party, it was Al who came back for Cream. And we know for sure that Big Al survived because he's shown multiple times during the end credits. And so I'm free to assume that in my ending Cream survived somehow. who really cares how? We just had an immortal time looper, so maybe Big L also had an ace up his metaphorical sleeve. Why not? After all, let me have my fairy tale for once. I do not need explanation, I need a miracle. And I'm having my miracle, I'm having my cozy, fluffy, warm game named Far Away From Home. It is thought-provoking, it is kind, it is clever, it is, all in all, wonderful, and I truly love this game. It's been a while since I liked a game this much. Let this video be the opposite of my Asterigos video, where I hated a game that much that I recorded a very complex video. In this case, I loved a game this much that I had to record all this and try my best to convey my feelings to you. The plot is not flawless, of course. There are several holes here or there, minor ones really. For example, at some point, several times actually, the game assesses that the wolves do not understand your language. And then at another point, this wolf clearly answers my character. I of course attribute it to the fact that this is Master Dogoru, the mighty assassin werewolf who dodges everything. So he of course studied the ancient lore and understands the language of humans. Why not? Why not really? Just really minor mistakes, in my eyes at least, so I say let them be. And what really seals the deal in my opinion is the fact that Far Away From Home is fun. And all in all, that's what matters most in a video game, right? Few things can actually rival throwing your ally into the enemy as a cannonball of rage. And no, your ally doesn't take any damage from being thrown. So yeah, an awesome game on every front. Highly recommended. I give it 15 wolves out of 10, so go play it and good luck.